boxing, beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
The Ring magazine has just revealed that FABIO Wardley, 18-0-1, 17 inside the distance, will take on JARRELL Miller, 26 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 22 inside the distance. Scheduled for the 7th of June, Portman Road Stadium fight at Ipswich Town, FABIO's home team. I like the fight. Miller coming off that draw against Andy Ruiz, which most people thought he won. He was going to follow that up with the Derek Chisora fight in the UK, but the matching right that Salita had threw that into the shredder. Miller was pissed, and rightly so. But it looks like he's free of Salita. And Frank Warren is trying to grant Wardley his hometown fight, and he better make the most of it. I prefer this than Wardley taking on Kubrat Pulev. Not that I hated the fight, it's that WBA regular heavyweight title. Not a fan. Last year, FABIO broke Frazer Clarke's jaw and cheekbone and had him out of there in 1 round in a devastating performance. A stark contrast from the previous fight they had that year where they fought to a draw, which was a struggle. Miller, not really looking to weave punches. He's going to come forward and try and walk FABIO down and try and block them punches. Whew, better him than me. But that's his style. He's going to come in around 300 pounds and try and walk FABIO down. He's more seasoned than Frazer Clarke, and FABIO can't look or rely on one punch to get him out of there early. He's got to stay focused and do a professional job. Be interesting to see if Miller can push FABIO back and see what FABIO can come with. Miller is going to bring his trash talk, and people are going to enjoy that. They're going to enjoy that. Hopefully he shows up, because if it's not promoter issues, it's ped violations that keeps this dude out of the ring. At 36, not much opportunities left if he blows this.
Boxing, beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
I was looking for the quote, but I couldn't find a quote. You guys know I like a receipt, just to emphasize the point. But a few years back, Adam Booth said that if a boxer is prepared, is trained properly, knows the strategy, tactics, etc., then he or she shouldn't have no need for trash talk. Now, that's his theory. I'm not sure about that, actually. I'm not sure, because it's not a one-size-fits-all debate. But that was Adam Booth's take. And it's funny now he's training David Adeleye, who, equipped with his entourage in tow at the London press conference for AJ versus Ngannou, left his opponent FABIO Wardley on the floor bleeding from quite a bad cut. David does lead with the roadman thing. I'm about that life, I'm really about that life. He was telling Frazer Clarke the same thing when they were going back and forth. I'm really about that life. I'm 100-0 in the streets. Now, it didn't help him against FABIO. FABIO knocked him out in 7 relatively one-sided rounds. And now, his opponents have the heads up.
He was banging the table, so I had to do one better. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to intimidate me or everyone around him with the table punches, so I had to do one better, that's all.
The bits I noticed from the press conference, there was obviously a lot of shouting, so it was difficult to pick up everything. But you were insistent that he's changed his behaviours in some way. What is that exactly?
Not saying that he's changed his behaviour, but this is how he behaves. This persona that he puts on is all an image. Him just trying to behave like a bad boy, it doesn't make sense. For boxers, you're supposed to be respectful, and you have to show a great example. He's not a great example, trying to be a bully. No one likes bullies.
Now, I've met JAMIE, TKV, and I don't know what it is, yeah? He's from Tottenham, and that's where I grew up. And there's almost this telepathy. I mean, you can look at a Tottenham youth, and even though we're years apart, I can hear JAMIE talk. I know where he's coming from. I think I told you guys on a hangout that I used to hang with certain dudes who, if they got in a confrontation, they would swear blind they don't want to fight. But they can't wait for it to go off and kick someone's head in and say, yo, I didn't start it, they started it. They want the moral high ground. And to a degree, that's what JAMIE's doing here. Flipping the table.
Bro, don't ever, bro. You shut your fucking mouth, bro. Shut your fucking mouth, bro.
Chill out.
You the fuck you pulling up to,
chill out.
Bro, shut the fuck up, man.
Just chill out with all of that.
Then one of JAMIE's entourage at the Wayne tried to get at David Adeleye. And what they're doing, they're flipping it on David, because David's reputation is preceding him right now. But as much as JAMIE might say David is trying to bully him, or David is a bully, he's trying to bully David too. He's trying to intimidate David. There's a lot at stake here. That British heavyweight title pays well. Winning the British heavyweight title can open a lot of doors, lucrative doors. JAMIE and David has sparred before.
You know what's so funny? One time we were sparring at Ben Davies in the gym. This was the last time we even sparred, some years now. He kept holding me in the spar. I lost my cool and I stuck it on him. I said, you want to go to war, Adeleye? You want to go to war? He did not respond. Bear in mind, it's only me and him and his coach, his former coach, that was there. He did not react, did not say a thing. And then we carried on sparring. At the end of it, we shook hands and we laughed. So if he's saying I'm not about it, I've always been about it. Even in the ring, I've shown him I'm about it. So when I tell him, you know what I'm about, I'm not talking about street stuff. There's nothing here that's supposed to be street professional boxers. When I say you know what I'm about, means you know what I'm about when we get in that ring. He knows mentally he's having sleepless nights. I know that for a fact.
Consciously or subconsciously, boxers develop narratives of why they have to win fights. It's a case of morals. Chris Eubank needs to deliver Conor Benn's head on a plate to the British public because he's a drug cheat. JAMIE has to stop the bully David Adeleye because he's not a real gangster and he's a bully. So he has a duty to deal with David. He's got to bully the bully. It's motivation. I tell you what though, boxers, you would have thought after Chris Eubank Jr. got fined 100k for cracking the egg in Conor's head that they would have calmed down. So when JAMIE's flipping that table, he surely wasn't thinking because I don't know what his purse is, but you do not want to incur them heavy fines that they're giving out. No way. And by the way, if you're going to fine people that much, you better be a little more transparent with what you're going to do with that money. What's this fund to help boxers who have hit hard times? What's it called? How comes the media or no other boxers knew of boxers who benefited from this fund? I didn't see one professional boxer who approved of that fine. Not one. From Spencer Oliver to the Smith brothers. Anywhere you go on the board, JAMIE better stop throwing tables. You know what I mean? Then again, he didn't exactly launch a Chisora type missile, did he? He just flipped it right in front of him. David Adeleye, he weighed in a career highest, 239. He was 235 against Solomon Dakers last time out, where he was very impressive. JAMIE, he weighed 254. That's his lowest weight for a little while. He was 261 last time out against Michael Webster. And I can see a change in his body. He's been working very hard for this one. After both JAMIE and David weighed in, it was curious to see JAMIE get fully clothed straight away while they posed for the media. Can't wait to see this one. It's nearly stole the headlines from the main event. Adeleye looking very confident.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
So Joyce has dropped nearly 7 pounds from his last performance against Derek Chisora, where he lost a 10-rounder. Looks like he's got himself in good shape, as he needs to. It's weird, man. Like, Joe weighed in 256 for the first Zhang fight, and he got stopped. They tried to put it down till he came in too light. What I didn't get is who was telling Joe that your weight was the issue in the first fight rather than his lack of defense. I didn't get that. Hrgovic, he turned pro in his 220s. Hrgovic is weighing a career heaviest, 9 pounds heavier than he weighed in for his last fight against Daniel Dubois, which he lost. 256 he weighed in today. 247 he weighed in for Dubois. Remember, he's coming in at short notice for Dillian White, who pulled out because of a hand injury. Now, he might have been ticking over, contemplating a return to the ring, but he wasn't preparing for a fight like this. And no matter what you want to say, Joe is still a formidable physical specimen to get past. You can't just go in and win against Joyce. You know what I mean? You have to earn that win. But 9 pounds heavier, I don't think he's put on muscle. And I was picking him because I expected him to have the faster feet and hands. But that could be negated if he ain't in shape. I don't think his boxing style or his body type accommodates extra weight that well. Especially if that weight was gained by sitting on the couch looking after his baby. And at this point, I don't think he's been killing himself in the gym. I don't think he's had time. He's had a baby. I think psychologically, the Dubois fight took a toll on him. He was so arrogant beforehand. We didn't hear anything from him until recently, until he got the call up for this fight. We heard nothing from him. Also, this guy peaked in the WSB and the amateurs. He's been a pro 8 years. And he hasn't really done shit, if we're keeping it real. I think he peaked then. I think he peaked when he was sparring the likes of David Haye and Deontay Wilder. The infamous Deontay Wilder sparring sessions. I don't think he had the same hunger as that guy. I don't think he had the same conditioning as that guy. The only reason he lost that Dubois fight wasn't down to his chin. He takes a good shot. It wasn't down to his skill. It's that shitty conditioning he had. Conditioning and lack of killer instinct. And he's 9 pounds heavier for this one, travelling to Manchester. Nah, man, I ain't buying it. Joe's already got a win against him in the WSB. Joe's going to be up for this one.
I think this is more of a risky fight for you. I've said it quite openly because he's got those fundamentals, the double jab, the 1-2. Talk to me about the practice for the head movement, because I don't want to see you defending any more shots with your face, Joe, because you give us heart attacks at home.
If you train in boxing, you know, like you do your pads, you do the drills and stuff, and it takes a long time. That's why you train for years and years. You do the sparring and everything. But when there's someone who's super fast or like super accurate and has great timing, then it's very hard to move your head out of the way. But I'm working on these things. I listen and I learn and I improve. And I want to get back to the top of the sport, and that's why I'm here.
No, I like that attitude.
Big up October Red, keeping Joe on his toes, because the head movement is an issue. There are concerns that Joe is taking one too many right now. It shows how little belief I have in Philippe Hrgovic that I'm changing my pick. But he laid it down. Some fighters do not pick up head movement that easy, and Joe is one of them. He said when someone's particularly fast or accurate, that it's hard to move your head out of the way of their punches. But I've seen Joe get lit up by the likes of Berman Stavern, way past it Berman, who was never particularly fast. And there are a lot of fighters like that, you know what I mean? Because head movement is not easy. Like Kevin Rooney was explaining in the 80s, when Mike Tyson used to have that pendulum type bag, where he'd have to move his head as the thing is swinging from behind him. So you just have to rely on his instincts and muscle memory and know when to move his head not to get hit with the bag. It's moving your head correctly. Head movement isn't just randomly moving your head hoping to get lucky and avoid punches. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of drills. And some fighters just get lazy and brace themselves to get hit. That's an absolute fact about boxing. There's not many great coaches out there. Although Joyce has had the likes of Salas, Abe Sanchez. Might be a little too late in the day to expect Pernell Whitaker defense from Joe Joyce tomorrow. But hopefully, he can sort out his range control. That was his big issue with Derek Chisora. His naivety when Derek was sitting back on the ropes. And Joe was just walking into shots even though he's got the reach advantage, the leverage advantage. And at 39, he shouldn't just be walking into them shots from Derek. He just seemed unable to get the fight in the ring center with his reach and height advantages. And that's a confidence thing. And now I'm thinking about Joe's defense. I'm thinking of changing my pick back again. But I'm going to stick with Joe. Hrgovic is saying Joe is old and damaged. He shouldn't go in there preparing for an old and damaged Joe. He should be going in there preparing for a revitalized Joe. Just in case. All right? Maybe everyone is right and Joe is finished, but just in case. I hope he's not overlooking Joe like he did Daniel. Joe beat Daniel, who beat Hrgovic, and Joe beat Hrgovic too. And maybe there's another performance left in Joe. So counting him out is a bad mistake by a lot of you fans, media, and it could be the undoing of Hrgovic. Better be careful. Believe it or not though, Hrgovic is ranked number 8. And if Joe can come up big and defeat Hrgovic, he'll be back in the top 10. A lot to play for. Fabio Wardley is ranked number 9. He wants to maintain that ranking and go further up by defeating Jarrell Miller. Martin Bakole, ranked number 7. A loss to FABIO Jagba will mean 2 L's on the bounce, and we'll see him likely removed from the top 10. Why is Tyson Fury still ranked if he's retired? Question. Perhaps they're trying to lure him out to take the AJ fight. AJ ranked number 5, Dubois 2, Parker 3, Caballero 4, Zhang 6, Bakole 7, Hrgovic 8, Wardley 9, 10 FABIO Jagba. Obviously the pumped up middleweight is the Ring Magazine champion. Any names that you think should be out and any names that you think should be in, I'd be interested to hear. AJ obviously plotting his route back very carefully, recovering from injury, supposedly. One thing lacking from that list is the American heavyweights, not one. And the Ring Magazine is an American-based publication. regardless if Turkey's bought it out. It's American based. Not one American heavyweight. And this is what I'm saying, man. Like, the American media and the fans, they're talking about how they can gang up on Turkey, Eddie Hearn, and, you know, you don't like Dana, you don't want to work with the Saudis. And their priorities are all wrong. They're concerned about tribalism amongst promoters and networks when they need to be developing some heavyweights to compete for the top 10 spots and challenge Usyk for the title. The last time an American challenged for the heavyweight title was 2021. What's that, 4 years ago? At this rate, that's going to easy go 5 years into 2026. They need to focus on stop letting people like Gervonta Davis be so comfortable not taking the fights that the world want to see. Perfectly good fights against Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson not being made. Richard Torres, if he beats the Italian, which I believe is tonight, he'd be creeping up in that top 10. And if Jarrell Miller can upset the number 9 ranked Fabio Wardley, he'll get in there. But they're the only 2 American heavyweights I can think of right now in anything resembling serious fights. To be honest, American boxing's a bit of a joke. If they're expecting 90-plus-year-old Bob Arum to be running around the gaff doing shows with the invisible man Al Heyman...
Bottom line, not gonna happen.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.